Welcome to the Leaders Insights podcast. Today's episode, Structuring and Financing a Deal, a CFO's Execution Playbook. Everyone obsesses over the price of a deal. You're telling me the price is the boring part?
The price is a number two smart teams argue about for a week. The structure is a decision you live inside for a decade. That's where the money quietly leaks out.
Define structure for someone who's only ever seen the headline number.
Structure is the how of the deal, not the how much. Do you buy the shares of the company or just its assets? How much do you pay up front versus later? How much is cash versus your own stock versus debt? Money you borrow. Each of those choices carries tax and liability consequences that follow you around like a bad tattoo.
Start with the first fork. Shares or assets. Why should anyone care?
If you buy the shares, you buy the whole animal, including whatever's rotting in the basement. Old lawsuits, tax exposure, that supplier contract someone signed in 2019. Buy the assets instead, and you cherry-pick what you want and leave the liabilities behind. Sellers hate it because it usually costs them more in tax, so it becomes a negotiation.
So why would any buyer ever agree to buy the shares?
Speed and simplicity mostly. Asset deals mean repapering every contract and license, which in a regulated business can take months. When Microsoft buys a software company, an asset deal would mean renegotiating thousands of customer agreements. Nobody has the patience, so they take the shares and price the risk in.
Let's talk about the gap you mentioned, between the term sheet and closing. What actually goes wrong there?
The term sheet, the one-page summary of the deal, is signed in a moment of optimism. Then 3 months of due diligence, financing, and lawyering happen, and the world moves. Interest rates shift, the target misses a quarter, a key customer leaves. If your structure has no give in it, you're locked into terms priced for a world that no longer exists.
Give me a concrete example of a structure choice that compounds.
Earnouts. That's when you pay part of the price later, contingent on the acquired business hitting targets. Sounds clever. You only pay for performance. In practice, it's a lawsuit incubator. The seller runs the business to hit the earnout metric. You want to run it for the long term. Teva bought Cephalon in 2011 and spent years tangled in exactly this kind of misalignment. The earnout that saved you 3% on price costs. You the integration.
So earnouts are a trap?
They're a tool. A hammer's not a trap unless you swing it at your own foot. Use them when you genuinely can't agree on what the future looks like. A young business, a founder staying on. Don't use them to paper over a price gap you were too polite to just argue about.
Now the financing side. Cash, stock, or debt. How does a CFO actually choose?
Cash is clean, but drains your reserves. Stock shares the risk. If the deal's a dog, the seller feels it too. But you're handing over a piece of your company, possibly to people you'll regret. Debt is cheapest on paper, but it's a coiled spring. In 2026, with borrowing costs where they are, a deal that penciled out at 4% debt 2 years ago looks very different financed today.
And people still model these deals at the old rates?
Constantly, they build the spreadsheet in January, close in June, and never rerun the debt assumptions. The deal that looked accretive, meaning it adds to earnings per share, is suddenly dilutive because the interest bill grew. That's not a market surprise. That's negligence with a nice font.
So what's the one thing a CFO should do differently before signing anything?
Stress test the structure, not just the price. Before you sign the term sheet, rerun every number against a worse world. Rates up 2 points, target down 10%, integration a quarter late. If the deal only survives in the optimistic case, you don't have a deal. You have a hope with lawyers attached.
A hope with lawyers attached. I'm stealing that.
Bill me for the earnout.
That's your 5. The full CFO track, structured, no fluff, is at mba-training.com.